We back with another episode of the Rap Roll Pod with your boy Buck. Today, I got a special guest. Some of you may or may not know him. Goes by the name of Nick Patrick, the creative director of this documentary. Excellent documentary, Weed Wars. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing good, Buck. Thanks for having me, bro.
Appreciate you.
And thank you for the
through,
J,
man.
too.
Yeah, man. This week's sponsor is my man, the homie for Stench 420. He blessed us with some of that presidential first lady. Still won't tell us the parents, but I do know it's a GG full cross. Shout out to Turp Lords and the homie Chew for blessing my man with those genetics. So can you give the people a quick little bio so they can be more, you know what I'm saying, familiar with who you are, what you've been through?
Yeah, man. So, again, my name is Nick. I'm a big hemp industry advocate, free market cannabis advocate. Not really a filmmaker, was kind of forced into a situation where we made this movie. More of just an advocate, activist, and an entrepreneur. I spent the last, since 2019, in the hemp and CBD industry. Built a very successful company, and then worked really hard on legislative agendas to open the cannabis industry up to small business owners and the legacy market. And over the course of the last several years, as Maryland was working on their legalization bill, I got very involved, hiring lobbyists and working with the community to try to get them to do the right thing.
Yes, prevent them from pushing y'all out. That's actually how I got familiar with you, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I was on the social equity trail when they was rolling it out. They was doing their statewide tour, what have you, and the General Assembly was having a bunch of meetings trying to figure out how they wanted to put the
how to structure it,
how to structure the legislature. And I seen at one of the meetings, you and a bunch of the other hemp owners. In all black.
Oh, you seen that?
So I've seen it live. I'm in the car, so I'm like, I ain't missing no meetings. These motherfuckers is up to something. I'm driving on my way to go handle some business or whatever. I'm watching the shit on YouTube live, and I seen y'all come up that joint suited and booted in all black, meaning all business. I was like, oh, what the fuck is going on here?
The all black was because we were attending the funeral of the hemp industry, and so so that was also against the advice of my lobbyist. She's like, they don't like when you put on a show. I said, I don't care what they like at this point. They have to know how big we are, how serious we are.
Form of solidarity.
Yeah, that was a great moment, I think, because this is a highly competitive industry. But when everybody's money is on the line, you saw people come together, and then from that, there's a lot of collaboration. From bringing all of those people together, I've seen a lot of people's businesses grow from that, just because people that they once viewed as competitors, they're now viewing as
partners.
As partners, yeah. They say people compete at the bottom and collaborate at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? That's what.
It was really a beautiful thing to see, especially because some of those people were very close friends of mine, and I got that were developing brands, and now as we got all these store owners together, now they have this larger distribution channel, and it's worked out really well for a lot of people. So I'm proud of that. Even though, the General Assembly fucked us, I'm still proud of what we did in spite of it.
Yeah, that was a beautiful show of unison. You know what I'm saying?
It was cool.
So we could elaborate more on why that was even necessary. Cause why this was even necessary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So look, the first time that the government had made any move at the federal level to address the cannabis plant in any way in 100 years was the 2014 Farm Bill.
Right.
The 2014 Agricultural Improvement Act was the first step towards legalizing hemp. It legalized it for research purposes. Yeah. So you were allowed to grow so long as you were growing and you had there was a pilot program and you were able to be
university.
Yeah, exactly. Connected with the college, you can grow hemp. Out of that, the hemp product market started to develop, and in 2018, when they passed the 2018 Farm Bill, there's some very interesting language in that bill. in that bill, in the 2014 Farm Bill, they just said you can have the hemp plant so long as it's less than 0.3% of Delta 9 THC.
Right.
In the 2018 Farm Bill, it said all extracts, derivatives, cannabinoids, isomers, salts of isomers, and acids are now legal.
Yep.
As long as the Delta 9 is below 0.3. So that opened the door for intoxicating cannabis products to be able to be sold legally under federal law. And a lot of people were making a lot of money.
Yeah, as long as it's processed a certain way, or had, like you said, had those.
Yeah, so
checks those boxes.
I think what a lot of people don't know, and I hear it all the time, especially as a hemp store owner, is people will come in and say, "Oh, I don't want that Delta 9. I want the real shit." And what people don't realize is Delta 9 is the real shit, right?
Yeah.
It's just the more scientific term for it. And what a lot of people also don't know is that the raw cannabis flower has very little THC in it until you heat it.
Right.
That's why if you just eat the bud,
you
don't
gotta
do shit.
burn off that A.
Exactly.
To make the THC active.
But the A stands for acid. So what the government didn't realize that they did in 2018 by legalizing the acid is they legalized the plant.
Yeah.
So most bud that you buy at a dispensary, and I even kept a couple of jars at my store just to show the example. You can go and buy a bag of weed from Verano or Evermore or whatever, and look at the COA on the bag, and it's going to show you that the Delta 9 THC is very low. In some cases, below 0.3%, which then makes it technically considered lawful hemp. So the hemp industry over the course of 5 years went from selling CBD and non-intoxicating cannabinoids to developing things like Delta 8. Then learning that the Delta 9 THC concentration by dry weight in an edible, 0.3% of a 6-gram gummy, can be pretty high in Delta 9. So essentially the hemp industry kicked down the door to federal cannabis legalization. And I think people in Congress knew it. I don't think so. Mitch McConnell, this was his fucking big thing, right?
He was not with that.
Yeah,
shit.
he's a geezer, right? this fucking guy. He's the guy that froze in front of the camera.
Yeah,
He was championing this bill, but I don't think he realized
what he was doing.
But I think some other people did, which is why it passed so overwhelmingly. They're like, okay, they're never gonna give us legal weed, but if we slide this language in, derivatives, isomers, extracts, cannabinoids, there's no way that you could see that and think that we're only legalizing hemp for industrial purposes.
And if you don't know the plant or the parts of the plant, you wouldn't realize that shit.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? A legislator, somebody in a suit, not gonna know the difference.
Exactly. So we exploited that, but I don't think people will call it a loophole. I don't think it's a loophole because a loophole would have to require some sort of ambiguity, right? Where like there's something that could go either way.
Yes.
But with the Farm Bill, bro, it's direct language. They said acids, isomers, derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids. You don't need any of that to make rope. You don't need any of that to make biofuel. You don't need any of that to make hemp plastics.
No.
Right? All you need is the stalk.
That's
right.
it.
So for them to legalize all of that,
the flower portion of the plant.
They opened up the cannabinoid market to any and everybody without the requirement of going through the ridiculous red tape of getting a cannabis license and then playing by those rules. It was, to me, it's like the most American thing ever. Is that the hemp industry saw an opportunity, created a free market, and it became a $28 billion industry. The hemp industry is as big as medical and rec combined, and as big as craft beer, because it's being sold in gas stations and smoke shops and liquor stores.
And they can cross state lines.
That's right.
So that's a hell of a loophole.
But what's crazy is when you can get top shelf quality California bud sent to you through the mail in pounds, and it gets seized, and you can sue to get it back. That's a fucking win.
And that's what that bill does.
That's what it did. So you could literally go online right now, even a brand like Cookies.
Yeah.
Go to thca.cookies.co. You can buy ounces, pounds, whatever of Cookies bud, so long as you don't live in a recreational state, because they don't want to compete with themselves, right? So if you're not, if you're not in a rec state, you can go and order Cookies bud. It'll be delivered to your fucking house because it's legal. Because THCA. Yeah. So that's why I said that the hemp industry is the cannabis industry for the rest of us. So when you ask why was this necessary, is because obviously the government caught wind of what they did, and they wanted to shut it down
immediately.
Yeah, and we pushed back, man.
So Maryland ended up going rec, or positioning themselves to go rec, and when they did that, It cut the hemp industry's legs off.
Yeah, what they said was in the bill that make recreational cannabis legal, they said that nobody can offer for sale any product that contains more than zero point 0.5 milligrams per serving or 2.5 milligrams of THC
Right.
per package, which
Next to
essentially
nothing.
gets rid of everything.
Yeah.
They tried in 2022. They tried to put in. It was a standalone bill that just aimed to ban hemp. It was put in by Senator Brian Feldman and Delegate Jocelyn Pena Melnick, and we worked with them. First of all, we organized right away. My buddy Daniel Simmons. I don't know if you know who he is. He had a company called Georgetown Hemp. It wasn't far from around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a good friend of mine, and his mom was reading Senator Feldman's newsletter, and somewhere in there it said there's this little known public health emergency surrounding hemp or whatever.
Right.
So they tried to ban it, and we right away just called every hemp store that we knew, raised a bunch of money, hired a lobbyist, got meetings with them, and stopped that bill cold. They instead turned it into a study. We then worked with them in the study, or at least we thought we were going to be able to work with them in the study.
Go ahead.
No. So they created their own agenda. The study about hemp was ran by CanMD, which is the Maryland Wholesale Cannabis Trade Association, chaired by Jake Van Wingerden from SunMed, Mackie Barch from Culta, and the former head of the MCA, Joy Strand, who used to be the head of the MCA. Now she's the lobbyist for the cannabis industry. It's a fucking dirty game. So needless to say, the results of that study went to the General Assembly, said, here's how you do it. Just put a milligram cap in place and you can ban these guys.
That's how you get it through.
Yeah, and that's what they did. And so we again.
Y'all had to push back. Y'all had to go through lawsuit,
organizing. See, you never want to be the guy who sues people, right? Because
it's not your first go-to.
Yeah, but see, it was a last resort. Can I see the light? You don't want to be the guy who sues people because then nobody wants to talk to you again.
Yeah, nobody want to do business.
You burn all your bridges. So we did everything that we could to go about this the right way. You know, we spent the money on lobbyists, bro. We had 5 paid lobbyists, over something thousand dollars we spent over the course of that time to hire these lobbyists. And we got into meetings with them. We showed up and gave public testimony. We put in thousands of pages of written testimony from economists, from legal professionals, from consumers of the product, to every single category of person that you could think that would be affected by a law like this. We really tried to affect policy change the way that you're supposed to do it.
The way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, and they left us with no choice but to go nuclear. And there was other things that we could have done. You know, we could have tried to blow up the whole cannabis industry. We didn't want to do that.
No.
And we also probably could have sued our way into a license and said, okay, well, why don't you settle it by giving us licenses? We don't want to sue our way into a private club. We want to make the private club public.
Right.
That's the goal of the lawsuit.
As it should be.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be a restricted process to get into the industry.
Right. I mean, this is our shit. We've had this way before they even thought about it.
Built it.
We sustained it. Who do you think kept people
sustained
interested in weed?
We've made it what it is, so why is that? Why are those people being restricted? I understand completely.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that they won't remove felony charges for distributing weed is a problem. That's
only misdemeanors, I think.
That's a real problem. That you can still get locked up for selling cannabis is a problem.
Yeah, a big problem.
Yeah, especially when you have, you know, I don't know, they made close to, what was it, 800 million or something that came out of it.
I think they fluffed those numbers a little bit.
You
to
think?
Be honest with you.
You think?
Yeah, because once they went wreck, they wasn't doing nothing but selling old weed because they could only sell to a limited market.
That's right, and there's only so many growers.
Yeah, so they bulked up on back orders and shit. They were selling all the weed that they couldn't get rid of for who knows how long. Everybody was gung ho. Oh shit, I can go buy some weed now. And then once they went in and got the product and realized that it wasn't better than what they normally get,
And it was more expensive.
do you think they went back?
Nah.
Cause everybody I talked to was like, "Hey, what the hell, man? This is some bullshit."
Bro,
Woo, woo.
we caught 420 this past year. So I had a store in Glen Burnie. It was called the Blind Tiger. I just recently sold it. That store was doing 120,000 a month in sales, right? And it started after 420, because 420, all the lines of the dispensaries was long as shit, and nobody could get in. So I had my store listed as a CBD and THC dispensary. So I didn't want to say I was a cannabis dispensary because I don't have a license. I'm selling hemp, right? And bro, that day 420, I think we did something like ridiculous, like 20 something grand in a day, because all those people flocked to us and then just kept coming to us, because I had eighths for 25. That was gas. People enjoyed it, and we built real community, and we built and we were rivaling the dispensaries, and that's what I think is the main reason why they'll never open it up, is because the people who know the plant, who know the game, who know the people will crush them.
Yeah, they don't want a craft market.
Nah, they don't. There ought to be a craft cannabis revolution. It's coming. It's inevitable.
What you think is have to trigger that though?
I think movement at the federal level is gonna trigger it, and I think the more that we live with legal cannabis, the more acceptable that it is.
Normalized and
yeah,
shit.
because I think what fuels a lot of it, bro, I call it the reefer madness mentality, right? It's like this idea that cannabis still needs to be viewed through this lens of like suspicion and fear, right? When you're talking about something that we're all so familiar with, like there's no reason for you to look at it that way, but policymakers are looking at it that way. And if you ask me, the reason why they are, because policy lawmakers, they have people in their ear all the time. They take
lobbyists.
Exactly. They got almost of their information is coming from lobbyists. So the lobbyists for the larger cannabis companies are preaching reefer madness to these legislators to make them think that it's so dangerous if it's not regulated like this,
I don't think
to keep the market small.
Like that, man. I think they
you don't think GTI is influencing policy?
I think they're influencing policy, but I don't think they preaching reefer madness. I think they preaching don't let these motherfuckers in.
Well, but they do it through overregulation. That's the main.
Yeah.
Right. So if you overregulate cannabis, even if you are fortunate enough to be one of these people that win a license, in order to meet the requirements for compliance is so insanely expensive. Yeah. So it's like, I think that's by design, and the only reason why they can justify making those compliance costs so high is because they have to make it about public safety.
Everybody gotta get paid too.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So they gotta write in a way for that shit to trickle down. Now everybody gotta get a check.
They always. I mean, that's true. No doubt about it. There's no question about it, and there's a lot of that in our film. Yeah. We show exactly how much money.
Y'all check it. So it's two parts of it, man. It's part 1 and part 2.
You can see it all on.
All the receipts is in this motherfucker. Right?
Weedwarsfilm.com, man. So yeah, there's a lot of money that's being spent, but I do think that there is a movement within the larger cannabis community, the corporate cannabis, the Chads, these guys, to influence policy by talking to a lot of these older legislators about how weed is still dangerous. So you have to let us do it, because if we sell it, we're gonna do this and this and this and this and this, and maybe a couple of other people, but they have to meet these standards. These are the standards that we know will protect everyone. When in reality, bro, I've been smoking weed since I'm 14 years old. I'm 39, but before there was any sort of legal cannabis, I didn't know what the name of my weed was. I didn't know who the fuck grew it. I didn't know where it came. I didn't know if there was pesticides. I didn't know nothing. I smoked the weed and I enjoyed it, and nobody died. Everything was okay. The sky won't fall if you create an open market and you loosen the fucking regulations a little bit.
Yeah, I think we should have safeguards and shit, but the entry barriers should not be as stringent as they are. You know what I'm saying? I'm not so sure it's gonna go federal anytime soon.
I don't know.
See, if it does, it's gonna be like we was talking about earlier. It's gonna be some real janky ass language in there.
Like the MORE Act,
like the licensing and the access is just gonna be like, well, it's legal for us. Mm-hmm. Y'all can all buy it. You can't really grow.
I think that you have to have more of a political conversation to get to the bottom of that, because weed becomes a contentious point where people can use it either from the left or from the right as a political tool, right?
They do. Every election they do that shit.
Exactly. So you never really know who to trust on that. I think that the American public it's not a partisan issue no more. You know, you got red states going wreck. You know, you have
or decriminalizing. They had some counties. I was reading the other day. It's cause you know Texas ain't with none of that shit, but it's a couple cities and counties that's moving to decriminalize, like within their barriers, saying like, nah, that shit cool over here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that part. I think it'd take more. I think it'd have to take more states to go green. I've always said, the more states to go green, the higher chances of.
When you say green, you mean rec?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The more states that go rec use or some form of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rec access.
Right.
The closer we get to 52, the closer we get to federal.
For sure. I mean, at this point, I think the majority of the states have some sort of legal cannabis, and I don't think that everyone in Washington, they're thinking, how do we do it? Right? They know it's eventually going to happen. So everybody's tried different things. The Farm Bill is the closest thing that we've ever gotten. And right now, if you're somebody, I'll talk right into the camera, if you wanted to get into the hemp industry, if you wanted to get into the cannabis industry, just get into hemp.
Exactly.
Because I started my business for $8,000. My wife and I had a $8,000 check, and we turned it into a multi-million-dollar company in a couple of years, and we did that shit all through 0.3% Delta 9 THC.
And the fee for the hemp license, each state is different. You know what I'm saying? Some states is cheap as shit.
Here it's $500.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's just to grow hemp. Yeah. To sell hemp products, you don't need a license at all. You just need a trader's license, a regular. The same shit that if you were selling T-shirts, you just need to have a business license.
So it's different aspects of getting into, you know what I'm saying, the hemp industry, which I'm always in favor of, because it's a lot more you can do with hemp than you could do with cannabis. I mean, they're the same plant.
Yeah, it's just legally
just different cannabinoids, but legally you can do a lot more with hemp.
I mean, quite possibly the weed that we're smoking right now could be considered lawful hemp if you were to test it. And if that Delta 9 is at 0.3 or below, that's hemp. Because right now it's probably 25, 27, 30 something THCA. It's a little bit of Delta 9 in there. Until you light it on fire, then it all activates, and the Delta 9 is now what is what's getting you stoned. But that's what people are missing right now. The cannabis is legal for you to sell under the 2018 Farm Bill because of the word acids. That's acids, cannabinoids.
Yeah, THCA.
That's it. And so all weed is THCA. We just call it THCA on the hemp side because it's more ambiguous. It allows you to sell it, but people don't realize that there's a lot of bud being sold in the dispensary right now that would qualify as hemp, which is why the smoke shops are selling THCA and everybody's selling THCA because the federal government, I think, knowingly legalized cannabis through the 2018 Farm Bill.
Somebody knowingly.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, Mitch McConnell ain't know. Yeah. Trump ain't know when he signed it, that's for sure.
Hell,
but somebody knew because somebody put the word acid in there, and somebody put the word isomer in there, and somebody put the word derative extract and cannabinoids in there. You know, that's very specific language. So if I tell people all day, like I have a consulting business that's called Legacy Link, and my goal is to talk to people that are in the legacy cannabis market that want to go legitimate and show them how to utilize the hemp laws to do it. Because if you're somebody that applied for a cannabis license and lost, you probably got a couple dollars. I can show you how to take that, put it in hemp, and flip your money. You can do it online. You can sell your butt online. It all matters as long as your lab reports are good. It's the Wild West right now, bro.
Yeah.
This shit ain't CBD.
Nah, this shit is different now, man.
It's a different fucking game.
You know what I'm saying?
And now people are getting genetics where they can grow to just make sure that Delta 9 is right where it needs to be.
Yeah, keeping it. Yeah, and that's the whole industry, I guess, with laying the game in itself. Just like being the person that has the access to the right types of genetics for certain cases. You know what I'm saying?
There's, when people perfect those genetics for THCA, that person is going to be extraordinarily wealthy because he's going to give everybody essentially the plug for how to grow cannabis that you can legally sell online with a merchant account and deliver it to somebody's house. And if packages get seized, you can get them back.
That's interesting as shit. So it don't matter about the THC level or the CBD level.
It don't. Not, the only thing that matters is the Delta 9 concentration. And when they wrote the bill, because of the verbiage that they used, they inadvertently, depending on who you ask, legalize the entirety of the plant as long as the Delta 9 is below a certain level. So when you think about edibles, which, like what's the average edible? Like hand me one of them.
10, 25, or like 25, 50.
Yeah, so look at this little fucking nerds cluster right here.
Yeah.
If I threw it on the digi, it's probably gonna hit maybe 2-3 grams or so, maybe.
Okay.
And the if you were to take that and do 0.3% of the weight of this is how much THC you're allowed to put in there. You're talking about a fraction of 1%. Is the amount, but when you do it by weight and you're talking about milligrams are very small.
Very, very small.
You know, so you could probably legally put in here 15 milligrams of Delta 9 and be able to legally sell that online through a merchant account and ship it through the mail or sell it out of a store. Now, the downside to that is that it's an unregulated industry, which you have a lot of bad actors, bro. You got a whole bunch of people selling a whole bunch of bogus shit, lab-made chemicals and all type of stuff that wind up in the product. So my view is use the hemp model for cannabis. Free market, let everybody play, and establish testing parameters and packaging requirements and age gating. If you do that, you'd have the cannabis industry we all deserve, and the people who built it and sustained it would likely dominate it.
Yeah, that's not what they like to have. You know what I'm saying? So explain to the people what's the difference between the Delta 8 and Delta 9. Well, Delta 9 and THC. You know what I'm saying? So everybody doesn't understand this shit.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that we're getting to have this conversation because before I sold the business, I had this conversation 10 times a day, every day for 5.5 years, because I think once people grasp this, I hope to see an explosion of the hemp industry in Maryland. So THC that you're familiar with when you smoke weed. The full name.
Psychoactive.
The psychoactive, the shit that gets you stoned, right? The shit that we're smoking right now, that we're smoking that's getting us high.
Yeah.
It's called Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol, and the 9 is about where the molecule is in the atom. There's different chains, and it's on the 9th chain. So that's what makes it Delta 9. Delta 8 is also a naturally occurring cannabinoid, but it grows in like really, really, really small amounts. So if you were growing cannabis for Delta 8, you would need a lot of bud to get a little bit of Delta 8. It grows in very, very trace amounts in the plant, but it is a naturally occurring cannabinoid, and it has about 75% the potency of Delta 9.
So Delta 8 and Delta 9 are real cannabinoids.
Yes.
They can also be manufactured in a lab.
And anything can be manufactured in a lab. For mass production, Delta 8, all the Delta 8 that you see is converted from CBD through a process called isomerization, where they take CBD, use certain acids as a catalyst to create a chemical reaction, and they convert that CBD into Delta 8, and now you can mass produce with that Delta 8. And so long as you do a solvent test after you're done you have a good raw ingredient, it's clean, it's safe, and it gets people less high. So some people really like Delta 8 because you get a whole lot more of a body buzz.
And don't take as much.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so 9 is in the 9th chain, 8 is in the 8th chain. All right.
And then there's a lot of other like lab-made shit that I don't advocate for. I actually do like Delta 8. I think that especially for nausea, for people that have gastrointestinal issues, Delta 8 is really, really good. Better than Delta 9.
Okay.
Yeah. But for consumers, they want this, and so this when this bud before I lit it, it was just full of THCA, and THCA is an acid. It's the acidic precursor to Delta 9. So when this gets lit on fire, all the THCA in here is turning into Delta 9. You're consuming it and you're getting stoned from it. If I were to eat this, it would do nothing to me. But if I were to melt it and decarb it and then make an edible with it, now it's going to get me stoned because that THCA is converted. There's a chemical process happening every time you
light it.
Every time you hit it, yeah. So Delta 8 is less potent than Delta 9, found in trace amounts in the plant, and gets you less stoned. Delta 9 is what you're familiar with, what everybody uses, what everybody's used to when they smoke weed. And THCA is the precursor to all of it.
To all of it.
Yeah.
So Delta 9 is THC?
100%. There's no difference at all. It's just another name for it. It's the actual scientific term. It's Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Yeah, the carbon chain. That's what it's called.
They about to rewrite all that shit after this episode come out.
Yeah, I'm not the only person preaching this gospel, bro. There's a lot of people out here telling people this because the way I see it, if we're already a $28 billion industry, if more people catch on, we can buy the cannabis industry. Yeah. So because that's the move. All that they have is more money than us.
That's it. They don't have the swag or the know-how.
No, but you know what's interesting is they don't get to keep all their money from their weed sales because they got to pay all those taxes. Yeah. We keep all of our money. So even if we sell less than them, we can make.
You can do more.
Yeah, and you can influence more.
So that's why Maryland wrote your asses out.
Fucking right. Fucking right. But that's why my mission is bigger than. It's not even out of self-interest. At this point, it's I want to throw a fuck you to them. I want the hemp industry. It already is bigger than the cannabis industry. I want it to be more respected.
Right. Which it is though. It's disrespect. I mean, the hemp industry has much more respect than the cannabis in the bigger picture. You know
but not in the cannabis community, right? Because a lot of people think that we're just the CBD guys or the Delta 8 guys, and I think once people realize what the hemp laws did with THCA, I think it's going to be gangbusters, where people are going to go nuts because now they can sell weed legally. I've been telling people this for a minute. Maryland may fall, but there's a lot of other states that are open for business. In fact,
everybody
Tennessee,
different.
Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, they have they're states that have recognized what happened and codified it in law because it's easier than getting a marijuana bill passed. This bill is already passed. It's already law.
Damn, they got land down there, so they like fuck that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, the hemp game is fucking crazy. And so when they shut it all down, I lost my business. July 1st, when it happened, they sent agents out. We were one of the first stores to get visited by the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Cannabis Commission, and they said if we come back here and you're selling this stuff, it's a $5,000 fine. Every single time, we'll come back with a warrant, we'll take all your shit, and shut you down. So naturally, I closed all 3 stores that I had.
Right.
Took one of them, flipped it into a smoke shop. And in the midst of all that, I was doing all this advocacy stuff, and we were getting some media attention. Baltimore Sun was writing about it. Fox 45 did some stuff. WMAR, but it was never more than like a small article or a 2 or 3 minute news. It was never enough time. It was never enough time to tell people what was really going on. Because I think that people don't realize that you're not really getting what you voted for. You know what I'm saying? So the idea was, okay, we have this trial. We need to gin up public support. We got to get this law changed. People don't read, though they should. They don't. Reading is boring, and especially reading a bill. It's like fucking hundreds of pages long and legalese. You can't even understand what it is half the time. So we decided, just like, yo, what if we put the shit on film? And then we made a movie, and it was received like really, really well. We partnered up with great people, with Tia Hamilton and D-Rock from the Maryland Cannabis Equity Collective, with Luke Jones from Maryland Normal, and then a couple of our hemp guys, myself, Levi, Daniel Simmons, and a good friend of mine named Derek Spruill from Cherry Blossom Hemp. Just put it all out there, and took us the better part of, I guess, 6 months to maybe 6 months probably to put it out and get it done. And then once it was out, people loved it, and I was super pumped because like people fucking, at least now people know. Worst case scenario, if you want to know what's really
some real jewels you dropped on that junk though. Like I watched it a couple times. I couldn't make the live screening, but I watched it a few times, and I'm having flashbacks when I'm watching it. Or some of that shit, because I remember the shit happening in real time
on YouTube.
Yeah. I was following all that shit. So it's definitely something people need to see. You know
I hope
what I'm
they
saying?
do. It's free. We never charged for it. We never made a dime from it.
And it led to y'all being able to bring the lawsuit, and that y'all was able to get y'all judgment back, so y'all can
Yeah.
continue to operate.
So, yo, it's the craziest shit, bro. Like, I'm just a regular fucking guy. I don't have a high school diploma. I don't have no. I was just selling my hemp, and they
Yeah.
came and they fucked with me, and I just happened to have enough friends that were pissed off enough to like do something about it,
Yeah.
and we actually stopped the law.
Yeah,
Like,
man,
that's a crazy thing. That's
not nothing to be overlooked.
It's a wild ass shit.
You know what I'm saying?
So we stopped it. They
Shout out to y'all, man.
So shout out to our lawyer, man, Nevin Young. If you're watching, he's a good lawyer, good criminal defense attorney,
Shout out
great
to
attorney,
Nevin.
based out of Annapolis. He really carried this because initially when we were saying, okay, what are our legal options?
Yeah.
And this type of lawsuit is different. Hemp lawsuits are happening all across the country, and they're all arguing using federal law,
Right.
saying, "Oh, hemp is legal because it is 0.3%." But there's a lot of other language in there that kind of gives the states rights to do certain things. So that's a losing argument.
Okay.
The lawyer said, "We don't go after the fact that hemp is legal. We talk about the fact that Maryland has explicit anti-monopoly language in their state constitution."
Right.
And so if we can prove that Maryland is creating an unjust monopoly, we can get you guys back in business based off of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a fucking great strategy. So we ran it up the chain, right? Because I don't have a whole lot of money. I'm not a rich guy. I'm just a dude.
Just trying to
But
man.
there's guys that are
Somebody-
like the big companies. I was selling their products in my stores. You're talking about guys that are doing 10 million, 20 million a month,
Yeah.
right, in sales.
They got an interest in this shit too.
Because they want to be able to sell them to Maryland. So we
Yeah.
tapped all of them and got them to fund it. And then we hired the attorney and we filed the suit, and we filed intentionally in Washington County, wanted to get away from the Annapolis establishment
Which
and the
was smart
Baltimore.
as shit. You know what I'm saying? You got
Also
them
my lawyer's idea.
Yeah.
So
Got them out their own backyard.
Yeah, they had to drive
So
an
you
hour
got
and a half.
Fair judge.
We got a fair judge. And
Yeah.
the judge looked at it and said one of the best things that he said was the social equity criteria was irrational and did nothing for the communities that it was supposed to benefit. Because I think that was the biggest part. Because we live in this society today where people will latch on to these buzzwords.
Yeah.
And there doesn't have to be any action behind it as long as you use the word.
Right.
And I think equity is one of those words.
That's one of those words.
Yeah.
But if you're not actually showing that you're putting forth the equity, that's, you know what I'm saying, that shit can shoot you in the foot too. If somebody calls you on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is what y'all did. So
I think maybe politicians just don't think people are going to push back, so they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing because nobody and people, us, don't think that we can affect change.
Yeah.
So for me, it was really, bro, it was just that my back was against the wall. I grew up very, very poor, and so I always was very protective over any time that I would have some money. You were like, you want to hold on to that shit, right?
Yeah.
So I tried everything as an entrepreneur. Not to get too personal, but I also spent the first 26 years of my life as an undocumented immigrant in the United States. I came here as a baby, and so I had a lot of reasons why I didn't go to college or couldn't get a job. Right? It was I didn't even have a social security number until my 20s. Right? So weed was what I knew. So I hustled weed like a motherfucker, all my life, and then get involved in a home-based business a number of years ago. I meet my wife, and then we get involved in hemp, and we finally build a successful business legitimately. Right? I'm paying my taxes. I'm making money. I'm providing opportunity for people. We were employing I think at the height of it, we had 7 employees that was working for us that had become like family, and then they took it. And then I was losing it all again and terrified. And so you put a person in that position, they're going to at least try.
Turn everything I got.
So I think that's what happened. I think they pushed the wrong people too hard and they underestimated us. I think that's what it was. They underestimated our will to fight for what we love, our shit.
Man. Congratulations.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it,
Fight
man.
well done and well deserved.
No, it's not over though. So we went to the appeals court, and we're going through that process, and you know, we're hoping that the appeals court sees the same thing that the circuit court sees, and then we have our trial in February.
Okay.
So we were granted what was called a preliminary injunction, meaning it took the part of the law that affected the hemp businesses and prevented them from enforcing it.
Okay.
So that's what the circuit court judge did in Hagerstown. But then the state appealed it. The state is making arguments about public safety, that these products aren't tested, they're dangerous, it's this, it's that, which is nonsense. And even if that was true, all we have to do is set up testing standards, right? Testing requirements, labeling requirements, and age gating. If we have those things in place, you have all the safeguards you need.
So everybody's asking for.
That's it.
Then
And
that's
that's it. And it's not difficult to do that. So, yeah, I think that the state's argument about public safety is tired. I think that they keep talking in circles. The same things that they say, oh, but you're selling candies. I'm like, yeah, so is the dispensary. Yeah, but they're regulated. Okay, yeah, so regulate us.
Regulate us too.
Yeah, what the fuck? So it was, yeah, that's what they talked about. And no, I'm good on that.
They'll drag it out for us.
They will. They will, and then but our trial is in February, and our trial is in Hagerstown. So if the appellate court sees that the Hagerstown judge was correct, we go right back in front of that judge, and we get to make the case for why the entire cannabis industry needs to be reshaped.
Good luck, man. Good luck, man.
Fuck it, dude.
Good luck. What was I about to ask you? We ain't gotta get into the social equity shit. But it's kind of the same damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the issue with that is like the big issue is the numerical limit on licenses. You got 70 dispensary licenses or something like that, and a handful of grower licenses and processor licenses, which is ridiculous. You got 8,000 alcohol licenses. Social equity, the requirements were so broad that it encompassed some of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the state,
Yeah.
and allowed for just basically anybody to become a social equity applicant.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm saying. As far as like the people that did with, we already know it was potential for people to load the deck, secret investors, shell investors. You know what I'm saying? The way they wrote it was fucked up, all of the above.
Yeah.
Now that the people that been awarded the licenses, half of them haven't. It was like a good amount of people that forfeited it because they
I think it
couldn't
was like
come up
30
with the
something.
funding.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. By the time this airs, the other half will have had to meet their deadline. You know what I'm saying, to find their spaces. And if they don't, they're gonna have to forfeit theirs back. I don't know if they're gonna do another lottery or if they're gonna auction them off, because there's a lot of sharks out looking for that type of, waiting for the licenses to basically be defaulted so they can get a shot at them. And
What other industry do they give licenses out in the lotteries?
I haven't heard.
Maybe gambling, casinos.
I don't think they're giving out a gambling license.
Like, why do they think they can treat this industry differently? Imagine if somebody said, in order for you to open a barbershop, because there's so many barbershops in this town, you can't open up one. Or you know what? Just wait until next year, because we're gonna have a lottery. So you and every other barber could throw your name in a hat, and then maybe you'll be able to open up a barbershop. It's insane.
I think they trying. I think they're waiting for all of the licenses to default, because they didn't. Another thing that happened is they didn't have the money available for the social equity people. They were supposed to be available, so they campaigned for like a whole year saying they had $40 million. It was going to be available for funding for anybody that won in the social equity round. And I'm starting to realize that they are going to try to say the loophole is the applicants, they got the lawsuit
In 2019.
in 2019, there was also social equity applicants. That's their loophole, because what happened was they gave all the money to them, and the people who won from the social equity rounds didn't really get anything. They gave them like $10,000, $15,000 a piece.
So Luke brings up a good point about the equity fund in this film. Anybody who doesn't know Luke, shout out Luke Jones from Maryland Normal. He's a great dude. He brings up the equity fund and talks about how the existing license holders can give loans to to certain social equity applicants that they know can't compete with them, and have those loans be guaranteed
by can't compete with them.
Yeah, like this, for example, like you'll take somebody who doesn't have the adequate capital, and you can give them just enough capital to do this and this and this. You can essentially control how big they get, and then you can have the money that you loan them guaranteed by the social equity fund. I didn't know that until Luke told me. I said that's crazy. And you look at the statute; it allows for lending institutions, and Jake Van Winger.
They gave them some money too. So they gave some money to the existing licensees, and then they gave, I guess, the rest of it to the lawsuit licensees.
Just being able to have access to that fund as an existing license holder is a problem.
Yeah, they supposed to be paying into it.
Well, they did. I think all of them with their conversion license, right? Their conversion fee, because they had to pay. I think it was 10% of their revenue to get to switch from medical to rec.
Like $250,000 or $500,000 or some shit.
Yeah,
depending. That's not $40 million worth. It ain't that many licensees. So now I'm questioning: was it really $40 million in there to begin with?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, dude, if we talk about, I mean, I can go off on just my overall mistrust of the government, right? Just in general, and especially after having dealt with them on a personal level, I don't believe anything any of them say anymore.
You never know.
Not here, not in Maryland. These people are crazy.
What do you see, Bob? Where you see us going right now? You know what I'm saying?
What's the future look like?
Yeah, like what kind of opportunities we got? Because we still do got rec.
Yeah.
We got homegrown.
Homegrown?
Virginia's in limbo. DC's going through a turnover. You know what I'm saying? It's opportunity over there. It's just expensive as hell. It's like, dude, but, it's a big...
I think the ancillary businesses are going to make a lot of money. The packaging companies, right? Some of these bigger, like Canaline.
Yeah.
Like some companies like
they
that.
Definitely gonna get off.
That's a good way to make money in the industry. I think right now the best thing that anyone can do for the future is safeguard hemp, because that's your ticket. That's your way around their bullshit. You can sell anything you want. I was walking around Nican. A guy comes up to me. I forget his name. He was from Pennsylvania, and he's like, "I want to move to Maryland because you guys are going rec, and I got this product that." I'm like, and he's just a kid making a product at his house, right? He doesn't have millions of dollars, and but he's got a good product that's a THC syrup. And I was like, "Well, do you have one? Let me see it." And he showed it to me. And I looked at the size of it, and I said, "Do you realize that based on the size and how many fluid ounces you have in here by weight, you can have the amount of THC that you have in here legally and sell this online, brand it, package it, get it tested. It'll cost you about $400-$500 a batch to get a full panel test, and now you're a legitimate hemp company. You can sell online. You don't need to wait in line for everybody else." That's what I've been trying to tell people. Like, the game is wide open, but it's being threatened. And the only thing that can prevent it from going away is enough people pushing back.
And that's always the hard part, getting enough motherfuckers invested. You know what I'm saying? The only people that's really invested is people who it affects pocket-wise.
Exactly.
The consumers are not.
Invested. For them, legal weed is a net positive.
Yeah.
I can't get in trouble for it no more. I can smoke it, and, so.
Which is how they market it anyway.
And for that, I mean, I applaud them for that. It's a good thing. It's a step in the right direction. But I don't think that I don't think the future of cannabis is going to be as protectionist as we're afraid that it will be. I think that a craft cannabis revolution will happen. I think that when interstate commerce happens and federal decriminalization happens, it'll be a lot more difficult for states to safeguard these monopolies. Because now you're talking about weed going across state lines. Things are going to change. So I think that the future of cannabis is going to look a lot like the future of craft beer.
I hope so. We good on the time? Battery, we good?
On all the battery. Like 30%.
Alright, we good. Other thing,
25.
Where do you think it's going, man?
I think this shit is...
Are,
think it's
are,
still
are
in
you
this-
optimistic about it, or are you pessimistic
very
overall about the future of the industry?
I'm very optimistic about it.
That's good.
Realistically, because I know that there is some, I don't want to call it loopholes. There's opportunity. It depends on what your angle is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be retail. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a production line somewhere. There has to be a manufacturing line somewhere. I think the licensing space is very much in limbo and still building. So we gotta see how all that shakes out. I'm on the genetic side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's always gonna be a use for me. And if the shit don't work out, I'll just move somewhere else.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
But didn't they just come up with a new license category for people that sell plants or plant material or seeds? I think that
they it's some language in there. It's
I think it was in something new that I heard about.
yeah. So it's like I'm also like I'm trying like on the hemp side too, because I don't sell THC products. You know what I'm saying? So I get my license through the Department of Agriculture.
That's good. Yeah.
But so I mean, I don't want to say I'm not invested locally. I'm very invested locally, but like right now, all this shit is in limbo. It's like everything is still very much. Nobody has nothing opening anytime soon. The licenses are still being like tossed around in the air.
It's what happens when you create an industry intentionally with high valued licenses. They weren't expensive to get,
No.
but once you have one, it
But you
becomes
get
very
a bunch
valuable.
of people that apply for them. You still got a bunch of money. You know what I'm saying, just on application.
They made a shit ton of money on people that lost. They made the most money on people that lost, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more people lost. 1,700 people lost or whatever.
Exactly.
So when you think about it like that, bro, it's like, I don't know, man. They limited the amount of licenses intentionally so that the licenses would be valuable. When you have a more valuable license, it's easier. When there's a lack of competition, it's easier for you to.
That's not gonna be as long. I mean, that ain't gonna be for long though, because you still gotta take into account. That's what I don't think they take into account. It's just it really ain't just about Maryland, because DC and Virginia we're all neighbors. So our markets and economies can also interchange and flip. Maybe not
Delaware too.
Yeah, whenever they get on board, like Pennsylvania too. So it's all like we're all in reach, but like especially right here, we're all in arm's reach. We can easily just go across the street if we don't like what y'all talking about. So that's going to affect the marketplace, and it's really like a rat race to see who get their shit together first. So I think the key is going to be the lounges. You know what I'm saying? The market is going. The black market ain't going nowhere. So regardless of what the licensed market does or doesn't do,
Bro, I agree with
it's
you.
always going to be both, and it's always going to be room and money for both. Neither is going to affect the other. You know what I'm saying? So the lounge space is what's going like.
So that's the move that I'm trying to make. But the problem is, well, hopefully, again, if we win the lawsuit, they're going to have to rewrite this bill. They only have 20 licenses for the whole state.
And they ain't even built them incubators yet either.
And they took the micro dispensary licenses from 100 to 10, right? It's ridiculous. That was done by Melanie Griffith in the Senate Finance Committee. I watched it happen live. She's like, it went from 100, and those are supposed to be the ones that are easy to get.
Easiest one.
Yeah, and they took them from 100 down to 10. It tells you what they think, what type of people they are. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I agree with you. So I'm actually moving in that direction. So I just been renovating a building in Baltimore with 3 floors. It's called Root City Kava Bar and Lounge. I don't know if you've ever heard of Kava before, but Kava.
Kava.
Yeah, Kava is
I've been to Kava.
No, it's not like a restaurant.
Okay.
So Kava with a C is what you think about, like the Mediterranean food. Yeah, Kava with a K is actually a root. And you grind up the root into a powder, you steep it like you would a tea, and you drink it, and it's like an alternative to alcohol. It's very, very popular in Florida.
Okay.
So there's these spaces, they're called Kava bars, which is a place where you can go and have all the amenities you expect from a regular bar, but they don't serve alcohol. They serve Kava. And when you drink Kava, you get loose and you feel good, but there's no cognitive impairment. You can still drive. You know, it's like it's very popular in Florida. There went from like 1 Kava bar to over 100 in 5 years. So I plan on starting the alcohol alternative wave in Maryland, and we're going to be serving hemp for as long as we can in that bar. But the goal is to have that space be a consumption space eventually.
Okay, we ain't gonna give them too much on that. I don't want nobody stealing your ideas till it open up, man.
Yeah, man.
Anything you want to tell these people, man? You got how to contact you, support you.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for giving me the platform, bro, to tell this fucking story.
Absolutely,
I really appreciate it.
This shit powerful out here, man.
The movie, weedwarsfilm.com. So www.weedwarsfilm.com. You can watch part 1 and part 2 on the website. Also, Healthy Alternatives MD.org. That's our nonprofit association. So if you want to donate to the cause to help us try to open this market up in Maryland, we're always taking donations. We don't get paid for doing this. All the money goes to paying for the legal fees. We have to designate expert witnesses. We're bringing in economists and people that own testing labs.
Shit expensive, man.
Yeah, it's very expensive. So if you guys want to help,
this shit for y'all, man.
HealthyAlternativesMD.org. And other than that, you know, I'm on Instagram or whatever and that kind of shit. But I'm not really too active on there. Yeah. But check out Root City Kava Bar and Lounge coming to Mount Vernon, Baltimore, December 2024. It's gonna be lit. It's really gonna be a good space, dude.
Man, I'll be there.
I got a cafe, a bar and lounge, and a retro gaming lounge with a bar on every floor. So it's gonna be fun.
Hey man, we gonna have to come up there and film an episode.
No doubt. No doubt.
Appreciate
you, man. Thank you, bro.
Hey man, y'all check my man Nick out, man. Catch y'all on the next episode. We out.
Waiting on the couch. Life's gonna try to hold you back. They gon' tell you that you still got time. Any minute this could all fade to black.